Hey there, Impact Zone! We're back here at the podcast again to talk more TNA wrestling shenanigans. And, well, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, guys. Well, not really 2 steps forward, I guess, but we've taken a step back, effectively. This week, they, again, decided that, you know what, we're not going to announce anything. It's 2 weeks away, and we've got 1 match announced. That 1 match is amazing. Absolutely amazing, and a lot of people are on the edge of their seat to see it. But again, when you revert back to this and you're like, oh, well, next week when we come in, it's only going to be a week away, or whatever, I think. I think that's what it is. Pretty sure. I don't know. I'm going to look it up now as I am speaking. On the 27th. When is the 27th? Where are we? So, yeah. Not next week, but the week after. It will be here. So, next week is the week before. The week before, and then the next week is the go-home show the night before, I believe. Or, yeah, the night before. So, yeah, you're gonna leave, 1 week to build, the Knockouts title match. You're gonna leave 1 week before. You could have announced friggin' the tag team title match. That's obvious what's happening there. It's the System versus the Hardys. What? And another thing there with that tag team scene right now, you pushed Nick Nemeth, right? Who's one of your main event guys, right? Back into being in the mid card for the tag team titles? Huh? What? When he's meant to be going for the world title? Maybe you explain it at some point, but no explanation really, apart from, well, he lost last week or whatever. Leon and all that. Also, you could have announced the X Division title match. They almost announced it, but Eric Young said, "Hey, Leon, you and me at Sacrifice, 1-on-1, mano a mano. I'm taking that title." Why didn't you announce it? Why didn't you make it official? Now everyone knows what match is going to be there at least. And I think we all knew that this was probably going to be the thing that was going to happen. But where's the graphics? Where's the announcement? Why haven't you announced these things? You need to announce these things. You need to have these things out there so people can go, oh yeah, so that is happening. It's not just been said. It's not just, oh yeah, we forgot about it or whatever. It's, it is going to happen. So now next week, Ariana Grace and Danny Luna are going to face Zaya Brookside and Lee, which is a really weird kind of thing there. And again, like I said before, you weren't even pushing Lee as a world champion. You were pushing her as a mid-carder. But now she's back to being a mid-carder. One thing that is really interesting is that Allie. Now, a few people said that Allie might be coming back to TNA. I think we talked about her coming back a long time ago. Back when what was the tag team that she was in AEW? I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, she was in that tag team with the Butcher and the Blade, and over there in AEW, and basically just being a manager to them, and they basically never got booked anyway. Actually, they also returned the Swingers Palace gimmick, that whole thing. So I don't know if that's going to be a ongoing thing, or this is just a one-off for the Swingman, or some of the other cast that were there, and whatnot, and that sort of thing. But, Johnny Bravo, yeah, number one, I guess. But, yeah, Ali's back, and that's cool in some ways. Like, I think people kind of want to see, what's going on there with her coming back or whatever, and what's she gonna do, and that sort of thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I liked some of the stuff here. I liked Ricky Sosa, this young kid. He's from Belgium. I haven't really heard much about him. Like, I think they said that his actual North American debut was in TNA, which is insane. So from what I hear, he's mostly been in Europe, and I hear that he has wrestled Leon prior. I haven't seen any of their matches or anything like this, but yeah, that's kind of interesting in some ways, in some regards. You know, yeah, I'm just triple checking that I haven't missed anything, and I'm not just stupid. All right, I don't think there is. No, I don't think that there is, but could be wrong. Just making triple sure here. But yeah, no, the Hardys match on tonight's show, terrible. Terrible. I think that Indy Hartwell, the fact that she got a jobber match and that Ricky here effectively got another jobber match made both of those matches feel really a lot, well, especially Ricky's match feel a lot worse. And I say you cannot have the time to put this sort of stuff on TV a lot. You cannot do that a lot, especially on the same show, and that sort of thing. This is the sort of stuff you've got to avoid, and things like that. And I said, like last time, I said that they should have had Macklin come out on the live episode and attack Santana or whatever, or should have had Santana attack Macklin or whatever. They should have had a brawl one way or the other. And then that leads to them saying, hey, enough of this. You guys can't touch again until your match, because we're tired of the shenanigans or whatever. So, that is what I would have done. But that's just me, because I think the live episodes need livening up. And even if you have something like this, a jobber match like this, if it's somebody that's super over or a new person, perhaps it's like, oh yeah, well, maybe we can be a bit forgiving of that or whatever. But when you have two on the same show, like, I mean, in the arena, it's a bit different, obviously, but, because you just see matches. But when you're actually watching the shows, you actually notice this sort of thing when they put them together, things like that. Because it's like, oh man, that doesn't feel good to have two of these effective jobber matches, especially on the main card and whatnot. Like, one, yeah, sure, that's a bit different. Two, oh man. And especially since the Hardys match was absolutely garbage there. I was like begging Sinner and Saint to like turn heel, dude. I was begging them to turn heel because that was just absolute crass, absolute crass. And whatnot. So, but whatever. They performed well, but the Hardys, like I say, they can't even make themselves look good, let alone their opponents and whatnot. So again, nah, bruh, nah. And I mean, I know people love the Hardys, and they probably disagree with me in my points and whatnot. And I get that maybe when you're in the arena and whatnot, it's a bit different. And whatnot, you want to get into the groove or get into it more or whatever, or if you're just a mark or whatever, you get into things more easily. I guess I'm not that big of a mark for them, or I just see that they're old and washed up, man, and just can't do it anymore, really. So, yeah, I've just lost complete interest and just do not care to see them that much, especially like a situation like this when it's like these young kids. They should have looked like $1 million. They should have looked like they could have beat the Hardys. They should have looked like, you know, again, the Hardys already look like old men, but now you're making these old men look like they can beat up these fit, young, you know, athletic, you know, 20-something-year-old guys who actually have a bright future ahead of them in some regard, but now you're chopping them off at the legs just to let these old timers who can't really go anymore continue their run of, you know, absolute nostalgia bait. Yeah. And, you know, maybe it's only for a little bit longer, but man, I'm so over it, dude. I'm so over it. And like when the system or whoever wins the titles off of them, I'm gonna be happy, because like even if they're on the show and they're doing stuff and they're wrestling, like if they're not the champions, like there's always a great story that they can tell. That's one thing, but you know, like when you're just on the show and you're not really all that, you're not the main event or you're not carrying the belts or whatever, it's a lot less of me being like, oh man, these guys suck. You know, because they don't have to carry the division. They're an attraction into themselves. Yes, the division is not as deep maybe as what it should be, and not as star-studded as what it should be in a sense. But that's why, again, here you are with these young guys who need to get over and at least look good if they're going to lose, looking bad against these 40, 50-year-old guys and not being able to beat them up. It's ridiculous. And the Hardys can barely move. And it's so obvious that that Sinner and Saint have to, you know, do everything they can to make them look good and try to make themselves look good, because the Hardys can't bloody well do it themselves. So I have to get off this high horse. I've said it so many times, but I'm so over it, man. I'm so over it. But yeah, it's so this show was really good, but what's it missing? Announced matches for the upcoming pay-per-view, guys. Wow, what? You know? Now, I might look and see what our ticket sales are looking like for the show, because, well, here I am complaining that the show isn't, you know, well, they aren't, since they aren't announcing matches, this isn't doing any favors for the show. But I could be wrong. Hey, you know, they could have sold a bazillion tickets, who knows, whatever, in the last few weeks. Let's see. Nope. It looks about the same as what it was before. Oh no, actually, they've sold a few more seats, yeah, but not a lot. Oh, actually, no. A few more seats. I'll give them a few more seats. They've sold 3 more sections. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 more sections, I think. 3 to 6 sections, I think, since the last time we checked, because a lot of the sections were like half sold out, whatever. You know, now it's looking like there's a couple of sections that are completely sold out, whatnot. So yeah, that is good. But again, guess what would sell more tickets besides like getting close to the event and people actually having more than a few dollars in their pockets or whatever, because Trump's tariffs and all this other stuff are going on at the same time, or, you know, going in the same market as WWE and AEW and all the other indie promotions or whatever else it is. You know, yeah, guess what would sell tickets? Matches announced. Wow, guys, brand new concept. You know, like I said that last time, but it's such a brand new concept. And maybe they'll announce matches in the next 5 minutes after, or whatever it is, after I finish doing this podcast. But it's ridiculous that I should have to say this like all this time and be like, oh man, you haven't announced any matches this week? You're only 2 weeks out. What's going on? And that sort of thing. So it's like, dude, what the frick is going on here? So yeah, I don't know, dudes. I really, really don't know what they're doing. I don't know whether they're actually trying to shoot themselves in the foot by doing this, because this is ridiculous, dude. You know, again, if I was in charge of, booking and stuff or social media, I'd be like, dude, the fuck, we haven't announced any matches for this show? What's going on? Maybe if you're saying with EY and Leon or whatever, oh, well, we're actually building to a stipulation. I don't care. Announce the match and then announce the stipulation later. If you're saying, oh, with the tag team match, again, we're going for I don't care if you're going for stipulation. Announce the match. Because then at least people know, oh yeah, this is the match that's going on. Cool, great. I can know what's going on. Not just, I'm guessing this is what's happening or whatever. I think the Knockouts, like, world title match is, like, so up in the air to me, and I don't know what they're doing yet. I think, like, obviously the women's tag team titles, it doesn't really matter what you're doing there. And again, it feels like, what's going on? Like, like, you had, like, a few... you had Goldilocks return on this show. So you've had a few, like, TNA... I don't know whether to say legends, because I don't know whether Goldilocks is a legend, but... like icons of the past or whatever return. So you've had ODB and you've had, Mickey James and all this, and like a few other things. Like especially on this episode, you had Johnny Swinger, who, hasn't been on the show in years. You had, I think Johnny Bravo, he's like a backstage producer or whatever with the show now, but he hasn't been seen on the programming for a long time. You had JDC, who, is retired now, but he's coming and doing this skit, which is good. Hey, this is something that he can do. He doesn't have to wrestle. He can just turn up and be like, hey, man, this and that, or whatever, telling stories, or hanging out, doing fun little things, or whatever else it is, being in these skits. And like, again, you're bringing back Ali, and it's like, oh, okay, great, cool, people loved her and they want her back, so again, and again, like, it is that thing of saying, we can't just bring her back, we can't just bring her back. That isn't how it works, especially since she died or whatever and all of that stuff. But now it's like, okay, how do we bring her back? What are we gonna do? What's she gonna do? Like, is she going to team with Rosemary? I don't know. Is she going to become like a disciple of Rosemary? Is she like before she was like infected by like Su Yung and all of that stuff and whatnot, and taken to the undead realm and all that stuff and whatever. And now what's she going to do? She's just going to be her, but what are they going to do with that? Like, they're just going to be Demon Bunny, but how's that going to work? You know what I mean? Like, and you could say, oh, well, that's a great tag team for the women's tag team division. Too bad there's only like 2 or 3 other teams in there. It's like, great, you've got this, and again, like, I think it's good for Rosemary, honestly, but I don't know. I think people do want to see stuff with Ali, certainly, and they want to see it with Rosemary, definitely, but I still think people kind of want to see Ali do like something later, single stuff, whatever, or whatnot. I don't know. And like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, like a lot of things to like if you're Simon Miller, ups and downs or whatever. Um lots of ups, but also a few downs as well. Well, I guess it's about the same. The if you I don't know whether you count segments like or promos or whatever, that sort of thing. I think like I think maybe the only couple of segments or whatever that I would put a thumbs down to would, well, actually their matches mostly are the Hardys and the fact that you had basically two jobber matches on the same show. Like jobber matches aren't very exciting or interesting or whatever. And yeah, again, you can say, oh well, whatever. They're short and they're sweet and they're over, so you don't need to pay too much attention to them, and they're like the piss break match or whatever else you want to say. But yeah, no, I don't want to see two of them on the same goddamn show, bro. Maybe one of them, and maybe one of them the next week. Yeah, sure, okay, great. That's still not all that amazing. And I would like to see if Ricky's gonna stick around, if he's gonna be assigned to TNA. I think maybe he wants to do stuff in and around Europe and stuff, because that's where he's like been doing stuff for a while and that sort of thing. So, he's more familiar with that scene. He's more familiar with that style. He's more familiar with those crowds. I don't know how good his like English is. I'm assuming he speaks somewhat good English, and that whatnot, because he's from Belgium and whatnot. So there's a lot of French, German, and English language convergence in that kind of area. So, but still, like like he seems to be pretty darn talented, despite us only being able to see him for like a 5-minute match. I still think he's got like the athleticism and whatnot, and it seems like he's like connecting with the audience pretty well. Like he's still early on, I think, with especially the American audience, and the American audience compared to what he's used to will be a lot different. So I think I'll give him a few little like passes per se for not being the most charismatic person or whatever, or not connecting, exactly with that audience or whatever. Because again, hey, give the kid a break. It's pretty much his first time in front of American crowds, or whatever. So, and I still think he's got potential, so, and I think like, again, this is the sort of thing that I want TNA to start doing, and I think a lot of people want TNA to start doing, is invest in these young guys, even if they're on the roster and whatever else. It's like, yeah, at least we have them, and at least we can sort of start going, let's get you with somebody, and let's start working to get you, more acclimated to, what it takes here in the US, what it takes here in TNA, not just what it takes to, do the indies, because like doing the indies is way different. You've got to know, and timing, because on the indies, you're gonna get a lot more time, whereas like especially early on when you're coming to a more major promotion, initially you're gonna be like jobber match, like to get your feet underneath you or whatever, and that sort of thing. So he's gotta roll with that and be like, okay, now what's my story? What's my, that's, again, if he's sticking around, I'd like to see him stick around. So I'm already planning for him to do stuff, and be a bit of a player in that X division for a while, or do some other stuff or whatever. I don't even know if there's anything else that we need to talk about or need to touch on. Actually, I don't know whether I'll touch on this in this video. Actually, I think I might save it for another video, because I think it's its own, perhaps full topic in a sense. So I will save that for another time. But be on the lookout. I know I've put a fair few videos out there of late, here and there on the channel as well. Besides, like the pay-per-view previews and reviews, but no reviews right now, but obviously the previews or whatever. But that is because, well, we haven't had all that much to talk about. Like, we can still see some of the stuff that they're, sort of starting to simmer or starting to cook along the road to the show or whatever. But I do think, like, it's fine to be like, hey, we're going to do this Mickie James and Ash thing later. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I've got no problems with that. Like, at least a singles match or whatever. Maybe as a tag team match, maybe that's a bit different, but I don't know. I'm still thinking, like, maybe a 6-woman tag, maybe. Or maybe just ODB and her, maybe. I don't know, but, like, the Elegance brand is 3 people, so I feel like maybe it should be a 6-person knockouts tag. I don't know, but still. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what they actually do, and that will be only like a week away, a week and a day away from the actual show. And then the week after that, it will be the day before the show, so the go home episode. Of course, we'll be like trying to preview if they actually announce anything. I assume they've got to announce anything. Now, I did say before, actually, this is the last thing that I did want to say, that we could go through the spoilers. I've said that a few times here and there just to see what matches have been announced that haven't been announced on TV or on social media yet, because a lot of these matches will be announced in the tapings. So there is that. We could do that. Actually, another thing I wanted to touch on is the same thing with Mustafa Ali as what they're doing with Nick Nemeth. He was like in that main event scene for a while, and I felt like, oh yeah, you're going to push him into doing another program with Santana. You are pushing him into a program with Trey Miguel, and I know there's like hardly anyone in that international title division, and I know you're trying to build Trey Miguel up and whatever else, but you shouldn't do that at the expense of Ali. You know what I mean? He should be in the, going into the main event scene, not going into the mid-card scene, maybe after he's like done with the belt or whatever else it is for a little while and whatnot. Yeah, sure, that's a bit different, but not now, in an extent, unless you're going to say, oh, well, Ali wins the belt and then goes on to do big things for a while, and then, then you figure out something else for him to do, like you did with his X Division title reign. But I don't think that's going to honestly happen, because Trey's, like, again, I'd like them to be a bit more unpredictable in some ways, but like, I don't want them to hot potato titles either, so I don't want Trey just to lose the belt just to Ali or to whatever, and that seems like something that you might do soon, hopefully, as well. Like, so now you've planted the seeds for that, so let's see it, like. And another couple matches are like the Hometown Man and Elijah versus Frankie Kazarian and AJ Francis. So, and I think I realized the other day or whatever it was, the main reason that Frankie's like doing commentary is because he's got a broken ass hand. So like, I knew that he had a broken ass hand and all this and whatnot, but it didn't click to me for a little while, and I kept being like, is he sort of transitioning into this role because he's looking to, slow down, or looking to, say, hey, I've got another niche in my bow and I can do this after, I'm finished in the ring or whatever else it is. No, like, maybe to some extent, but yeah, it is just because he's got a broken ass hand. I just didn't even realize it didn't click with me. I knew that he had a broken hand and all this other stuff and rah, rah, rah. And then this week it clicked with me and was like, oh, he's doing this because he's got a broken ass hand. And like he's not fully cleared to compete or whatever. So, or he's, like on the shelf to an extent. So, yeah. But whatever, guys. It is what it is. So, yeah, no, it's fine. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much it for this one. Yeah, so, again, I want to make sure that people are happy, healthy, and taking care of one another. There's enough, of the other stuff. There's enough of the pain and whatnot going on in the world right now. So be nice to yourselves, be nice to your neighbor, be nice to everyone. Let's try to make the world a nicer place. And but yeah, don't forget not to like fall into the trap of like this other stuff with ICE. Do not like let them rule your lives. Do not let the government rule your lives. Do not let these things control us and manipulate us. Fuck those guys. Those guys are assholes. So yeah, protect yourselves as well. But yeah, try to be good to one another as much as possible. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you'll see me again in another one.